Are you interested in getting some photos that look like they were taken a long time ago in the last century, and you don't have a film camera? Well, it's super easy with Zonar Photo Studio X. Howdy all, how's it going? Welcome to this video. In this one, we're gonna check out how to give your photos a retro or even a more kind of old school take. But first, let's take a look at analog and the analog history of photography. Today, the word retro refers to, well, sometime in the 50s, 60s, and 1970s, maybe even into the 80s, but that's stretching it a bit. So we're going to divide this period into two, which is with the 50s, which is unique for its black and white photography, and then the 70s with the introduction of color photography. So let's take a look at the 1950s and what that style of black and white photography was like. You can convert a photo to black and white in the color style section. However, the fastest way is to use presets that already have preset exposure and tone curve adjustments. My favorite black and white presets are matte contrast and punchy contrast. There's also the 35mm preset in the monochrome section as well. The preset is 35mm because in the second half of the 20th century, the most common film for photography was 35mm, but also known as 135 film. Now, if you don't have these presets in Zonar Photo Studio X, don't worry about it. You can download them easily or the entire bundle of presets at zonar.com, and the link is in the video description, but now let's get back to editing. If you want to get a print toning effect or the look of an old photo that's yellowed from being in the attic for too long, you can choose sepia instead of black and white presets, for example. All right, so the black and white photography of the 50s is now behind us. Let's move on towards the 70s and introduce a little bit of color in there. Now, color film became extremely popular in the 1970s, especially in the USA, and gradually it spread throughout the rest of the world. Of course, not everyone had access to color film due to the availability of cameras at the time and perhaps a certain sort of political regime that was in place. Still, the effect resembling 35mm color film is so popular that Instagram has its own filter to apply to your photos. So just like with black and white, the fastest way to get a retro style photo is by using ready-made presets. The best presets are in the cinematic or film section, but I'm going to demonstrate how you can edit your own photo and give it a certain color yourself. Now, it all depends on what type of film you want to imitate, because the different brands have different values and the end product is gonna look a little different. Some have slightly more saturated, warmer colors like Kodak Gold Film, and others have more subtle blue and green shades like Fujifilm. Now, if you want to know more about film editing, let us know in the comments below. We might make a video on that, but for now, let's get back to the rest of the video. Now, I'm shooting on Kodak Gold Film right now, so I'm gonna try to simulate that look. I've already made basic exposure adjustments, and since I want the colors to be warmer, I'm going to shift temperature closer to more of a yellow. Colors tend to be more vibrant with film, so I'm gonna increase saturation as well as vibrance, and I'm gonna use split toning to adjust the hues. I'm gonna move the master colors towards warmer tones, but move the shadows towards cooler tones of a blue and green. Next, let's fine tune the colors using Shift Primary Colors. I'm gonna move the red towards orange and increase saturation. Now, why would I do that? Now, color film has several light sensitive layers, and each is sensitive to a different color in the CMYK color model. That's why film stock tends to give off a color cast for different colors, but we won't get into the details right now. Now, to get a stronger effect, I'm going to move green all the way to the right and decrease saturation. Then I'm gonna move hue for blue to lighter tones and reduce saturation, but just a little bit. Now you can add grain to your photos in the effects section just for more of that analog look, and color retro style photos can also benefit from some glow and halation effects. Photos shot on film, especially those with the sky, often have visible vignetting, and especially if you're using an older lens. Now, there are several more ways that you can simulate an old photograph using Zonar Photo Studio X, but let's take a look at one last one, which is gonna happen in the editor module. Now, this is called the damaged photograph effect. A damaged photograph adjusts not only the color, but also darkens the edges and adds scratches, just like the damaged old photos had. You can choose whether you want a hint of color or sepia, and by checking advanced settings, you can customize the effect to your liking, including the colors used in the photo. So that's it on how to create a retro or vintage style inspired photograph. I hope this gave you some ideas of what you could play around with using Zoner Photo Studio X, and let us know what you think below. We always like reading your comments. Give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe, as you'll never miss another video. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a good one.